He's going all the way. 20, 15, 10. Touchdown. Texas Tech takes home the victory.
Welcome to episode 110 of the Broadway Shuffle. We've got Clayton, Conrad, and Zyler here today. We're excited to be talking Oregon State and what it means for Texas Tech. Are they focused on this game? Are they looking forward to Utah? What can we kind of expect from the offense? What can we kind of expect from Oregon State this Saturday? That and much more coming up. But Conrad, wanted to go to you first, man. How are you tonight? What are you thinking about this weekend?
Yeah, excited to, be there in Lubbock for another game. It'll be exciting to see what we do against the best competition we faced so far. I feel like everything's progressing nicely. I think we are a team that is on the rise. I think people are starting to take notice of us if they weren't already, just because of who we are and what we've done so far. And so excited to see how the team looks, excited to see how things are cleaned up in this week. I don't expect much of a fight. We'll talk about that later, but I think it'll be a fun weekend in the LBK, and I'm excited to be there again to see the Red Raiders hopefully come out on top against the Oregon State Beavers. Clayton, what are you expecting from the Red Raiders this Saturday? Are you expecting more of the same, or is there a little bit of reason for Tech fans maybe to be a little cautious?
I don't know if I would say that we need to be cautious. I expect the game to be pretty well in hand pretty early, not to the level of Kent State or Arkansas Pine Bluff, but I definitely think this is one of the 2, maybe 3 worst teams you're going to play for the rest of the year. So if you're in a dogfight, I don't think that's a great sign. I would expect the offense to continue to play well. I'm sure they'll score more than, well, I guess Kent State did score 14. So maybe you could hold Oregon State to 14, but I expect them to put at least 3 scoring drives together. I don't know if they'll all be touchdowns or field goals, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in to us for the first time, we are missing our usual host. The exceedingly handsome Brennan Baxter is not with us this evening, but he will be with us in Lubbock this Saturday. So look for me, Conrad, and Brennan to be there this Saturday. Also, if this is your first time, man, would love to see you like and subscribe. It means a ton to us, helps us grow the channel and do a lot more fun stuff. Download Texas Tech Plus. It's where you can also find a lot of our content, and we're going to be doing a lot of player interviews, a lot of really fun stuff coming up at some future Tech home games. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, missing Brendan tonight, it's always different doing the episode without him. But really wanted to jump into some fun stuff about Oregon State. Clayton, I think you hit it on the head when you talk. Oregon State's definitely the best team that you've played, but they're going to be one of the worst teams remaining on your schedule, just based on the 2 games that I've watched of Oregon State. Now, that's not to say that they're any sort of pushover. This team is much, much better than the competition that's waltzed into Lubbock the last 2 weeks. Pine Bluff and Kent State beating those teams is not necessarily impressive by any stretch. So this will be the best team that you've faced. They've got good size. They've got a quarterback that played at Texas, that's won some games at Texas, played at Duke. If you guys aren't familiar with him, Malik Murphy, he's huge. He's 6'5", massive quarterback, 622 yards already on this season. Not really a runner, but going to be a guy that tries to dice you up through the air. Some other stuff on the offensive attack, just real briefly. Anthony Hankerson, that's a guy that I would look out for. He's the running back with dreads, a legitimate running back, somebody that you're definitely going to have to watch out for as a Tech fan. And then kind of rounding out their offensive attack, Trent Walker is a very good wide receiver. Going to be the best one that you've faced all year. They had their left tackles questionable for this game. Their left guard's very good. The rest of the line's okay. You should kind of have your way with them with your current iteration of the defensive line. Clayton, any thoughts on the offense? I don't know if you've got to watch any of Oregon State, but what are you kind of thinking about this? Where do you kind of see weaknesses that our defense might be able to exploit? Give me your thoughts on the Beaver offense.
Yeah, I didn't catch any of the Fresno State game, but I did watch some of the Cal-Oregon State games week 1, although it was kind of on in the background, so I wasn't super tuned in. But I'm familiar with Malik Murphy from his time at Duke in Texas. I was surprised to see that he doesn't run. Like, I think he has 27 rushing yards so far through 2 games, not including sacks. I was honestly kind of hoping that he would run more, just as like a tune-up for Dan Pierre. But I think our D-line can exploit their offensive line. I don't think they can match up with us. I agree that it looks like they have 2 pretty good receivers. Walker, I can't remember the other guy's name.
I think it's Taz Reddick.
That, yes, yeah. And then after that, there's like a stark drop off in production. So I'd be curious to see how our corners match up with those. But I think you could get pressure on Murphy through the D-line.
Conrad, this is the best offense that we're going to face, to this point of the season and on this 3-game homestand. What are you kind of looking for from the defense as the Beavers come into town?
Yeah, this is no secret that we're progressing in competition. I think for this defense, what I need to see the most is just are you able to do the same thing? I'm not shocked at all that we were able to handle Pine Bluff and Kent State the way they were. I mean, we were just overpowering them because our athletes are just so much better. But competing against a similar type of athlete, obviously not the exact same. We're still much better than them from an athletic front. But at the same time, you need to see that this offensive front for Oregon State just get dominated. I mean, you want to see that again, even though it's going to still be better competition. You need to see the same output from this defensive front. And I think you will. I think these guys are just. I mean, we've talked about it. They're absolute monsters, and I think they've proven that over the first 2 weeks. But hopefully it's a time, because I think we talked about it on the sideline last week. I think we could have just walked out there, no practice, and done what we did last week just because of the athletic difference. But hopefully, not saying that they didn't take practice seriously. I'm sure they did, but it was just such a big difference. This week, I hope there's more schematics involved in terms of, maybe running more stunts, but you might not want to show everything that you have in the bag, because you've got, Utah next week, which I know we'll talk about later in the episode. So I want to see more of the same from this defensive front, but I also want to see our corners cover because, again, haven't faced receivers like this because of how poor the competition's been. So overall, still want to see a good performance from the defense. I think we will. I think it, again, is a good tune-up for what we'll see next week in Utah.
Yeah, I think, Conrad, you hit a lot of nice points. I can't decide what I'm kind of rooting for here. I'd love for Oregon State to kind of punch you in the mouth a little bit offensively. I'd love to see how our guys respond to a little bit of adversity. Let's see how we adapt and react. Now, I think the ideal outcome is they gain 0 yards and you just completely dominate. Like that is a really good outcome too. But if I'm thinking realistically, I want to see how our passing defense holds up against a legitimate quarterback. You've gone up against 3 or 4 quarterbacks last 2 weeks that really were not testing you down the field at all. You had that one completion in the Kent State game where it was on the twos, but that they got something downfield. But the other long passing game was a screen. Like, what does it look like when a team actually challenges Pollock and Wisniewski and Jordan, Balfour, Amir Boyd if he plays, Maurian Horn if he plays? This is a decent passing attack. I mean, I think they will put some pressure on you, and I think they're going to be able to move the ball a little bit. I think where you're going to have to win is on 3rd down. They've been a really good offense converting on 3rd down. If they can get to 3rd and manageable, your defense, obviously only one FBS game, but you've been top, I think, 12 in the country at success rate allowed on 3rd down. And so that'll be the biggest battle that I'm looking for, is how do we play in some of those crucial downs, and then also setting yourself up to win in those crucial downs. 3rd and 1s are a lot harder to prevent than, let's say 3rd and 7 or even 3rd and 6. So that'll be the key matchup that I'm looking for. Can we stop them on the ground? I feel pretty confident our D-line is going to be able to stop them. They had a hard time running on Fresno State. I think you have a step up in talent from Fresno State on the defensive line. I am less sure that you have great cornerbacks at this point in time. So that'll be something that I'm really keyed into. And they have legit talent. These are guys that could play on other Power 5 schools and you're going to see receivers that are as good, but not many that are much better than Trent Walker. And Malik Murphy is about as good of a quarterback as you'll see this year. Maybe not quite the top end talent, but this is a good team that's got some P5 talent that I hope should stress your defense a little bit and allow Sheila and his team and his staff to make some neat adjustments and work through that. When I look kind of defensively, I don't see nearly as much talent on this Oregon State defense. I think this should be a unit that you should move the ball against, not without complications, but you should be able to run and you should be able to pass on this unit. There's not going to be a ton that really scares me on that defense. Really, the only guys, Skylar Thomas and Trey Glasper, are 2 guys on the back end that I think are pretty good. And then Dexter Thomas is going to be their run-stopping inside linebacker. Really not a ton of guys that I would note on the defensive line or defensive end right now, just based on the games that I've watched. I expect Barron to have a pretty good game, and I expect him to play at least 3 quarters. I don't think you're going to beat this team. You're not going to be up 48-0 on this team. Now, once again, you may get another really bad special teams unit. Their long snapper is out, so they've been having to train a backup. I don't know if you watched that Fresno State game. Couldn't punt, couldn't kick field goals. It was a disaster. But Conrad, your expectations for Barron in this game, what are you kind of looking for from the Tech offense?
Yeah, the offense, I think, again, it's hard to say we put up 60 plus points in the first two games. I'm interested to see more situational football. Last week we talked about, and we were even sitting there talking on the field of like, man, we just, it felt like there was a lull at one point, in the second quarter, and wanted to see some more execution in terms of short yardages, different things like that. We also saw, had a 3rd and 12, I think maybe 3rd and 14, something like that, where I forget if we converted or didn't convert it, but that was something that I want to see more of that. I expect this offense really to go up and down the field. I expect to see us probably have a 56% pass percentage versus 45 to 44% run percentage. I think we're going to throw the ball a lot more. I think we're going to be heavier on the pass than we will the run. Just because I think you feel really good about Barron. I think the team has showed, and Mac has showed, that they're big fans of what he can do, airing the ball out to Reggie and Coy and Caleb and Micah and all those guys. So I think you're going to see Barron play well. I don't expect to see much pressure. What I've seen of the defensive line from Oregon State does not feel like a unit to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is really going to threaten Howard Sampson or Ponton, maybe a little bit more Ponton just because he's younger. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be something that you're going to have to like. I don't foresee Barron getting hit a ton, and if he is, we gotta have some conversations, because that's obviously not what we want to see. And so I think you'll see, because he's going to play 3 quarters, I think you're going to see a 325-yard performance from Barron. I think you're going to see 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't expect to see an interception. Obviously, the things can happen like that, but he's been really good at protecting the ball. So I would forecast a very successful day for Barron, and I think it'll be a good day on the ground too. I think you'll see a lot of things. I want to see Cam and Jacoby get their yards and get each about, maybe 10 to 12 carries each, pretty balanced. So I think this offense is really going to do a good job against this team. But again, you got to play it on the field. Clayton, anything you're looking for specifically, maybe from the receiving room or maybe TC on this game, just with, how we'll be able to exploit the middle of the field with Terrence and John Carlos?
Yeah, probably just, more of the same, kind of like you hit on with the defense. I would like to see Caleb Douglas have a big game, not for, any like predicated success in the future, but just kind of because I want to see that happen. But yeah, I would definitely like to see the run game have more success on short yardage stuff, because we got stuffed by Kent State on some 3rd and 1s in the previous game. Had to go for a 4th and goal, I think. So, not the best sign. I would hope that has a little more success this week. But I agree with you on Barron. Like, if your D line can't really put pressure on him, then I think it's going to be real tough to stop our offense, just because the weapons we have on the outside and, healthy quarterback. I believe last year, if I'm correct, Barron had the number 1 PFF grade from a clean pocket. So, if the line can keep him clean with the weapons we have on the outside, I don't see how a team could stop our offense. And I expect that to continue this Saturday.
Yeah, Clayton, where do you see this kind of maybe going wrong? Like, if Oregon State's competing in this game defensively, where do you think things might falter? Or like, where do you think potential weaknesses are for us going into this game?
Man, that's a good question. I think I guess I would say like the continued, not great running game. Like if we're, trying to run the ball in early downs, get stuck on some 3rd and longs, where it's obvious passing situations, maybe they can bring a blitz. Or if we just get we kind of abandon the run and get 2 pass happy. But even that, I feel like we could still move the ball. I feel like really the only way would be if they're able to get pressure from blitzes, or if we just have no run game at all. That'd be the only situation where I see us like having a real bad day offensively. What about you?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. And I forget, you just really have not been tested that much offensively by anything schematically or athletically. You haven't lined up against anybody in either of these games that was even close to what they've seen in practice on defense. So what does it look like when there's actually, athletic comps? Like, does Reggie Virgil actually get open pretty frequently? What does Terrence Carter look like against actual linebackers and safeties? I think there's still a little bit of unknown, and I think we're maybe undervaluing some unknown stuff on our offense. And I think there's a chance that this game maybe plays out a little bit closer in the first half, where you're trying to figure some stuff out and maybe they throw some interesting stuff. Daniel Bray, the head coach at Oregon State, Good defensive coordinator. I mean, he was there with when Oregon State had that top 10 team, I think in 2021 or 22. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago. He was the defensive coordinator there. So I'll be interested to see a lot of this stuff. I think there's two topics I did want to bring up kind of related to this game. One, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt and a lot of chatter about the Utah game. Not a lot of talk about the Oregon State game. I think there's some danger in that. And I know that fans don't play in the games. What fans say does not resonate with what coaches are doing and what players are thinking. So I do want to make a distinction there. But do you think there's any chance that we're looking forward a little bit and kind of overlooking the Beavers? I mean, this is a team that could beat you. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Crazier things have happened. I mean, you waltzed into Ames, Iowa last year and knocked off a top 10 undefeated Iowa State Cyclones. Like, things can happen. Is there a chance we're overlooking the Beavers?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. If your mind is already set on the Utah Utes, which in some degree it has to be, right? Like, this is not a team that you necessarily think is going to be all that great, even though they're going to have better athletic players than we've seen before. I do think there's a chance of it, but I trust Joey and staff with 1-0. You know, the mentality that we've got. I mean, these guys are just so focused on the week ahead of them. What are we going to do on Saturday? What are we going to do on Saturday? I'm sure there's thoughts in the back of the mind. I'm sure there's been conversations about that, but I would say I think we'll be okay, and I think we'll be focused on the Beavers, and then, you know, on Sunday they'll turn to the Utes. Clayton, any thoughts? Do you think there's a chance that maybe it is like, can we just get past this game? Because as a fan, I'll be completely transparent.
Yeah,
with our listeners. I want to play Utah yesterday. Like, I don't want to do like I you know, if it's, you know, I'm excited to be there on Saturday and watch the game with you guys, but I just want to be sitting on the couch watching us play the Utah Utes. Do you think other fans feel that way? Are we wrong for thinking that way? Clayton, thoughts?
I totally agree. And no, I don't think that's wrong. I think the fan base as a whole is definitely looking ahead to the Utah game. I haven't seen a single person that's really predicting this to be close so far. Stay tuned for our predictions later. We might continue that trend, but I'm not worried about the players of the team thinking that way either, for a couple of reasons. One, it's at home. I think if it was on the road, I'd be much more worried about that. And two, you've lost, 4 non-conference games in the last 3 years. One to Pac-12, one to Mountain West. You would hope that Joey, which I'm not saying Joey was overlooking those last opponents, but you would think that by this point, you know, the team is taking all these games seriously. And I trust that we have the leadership on the team that they are taking it seriously. So I'm not really worried about a look ahead spot. I think that Utah has the bigger look ahead spot than we do, playing at Wyoming. We obviously know how tough that is. So I think they're in more danger of that than Tech is. But Zyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know personally I'm pretty amped for the Utah game, but there's definitely something to be said about Oregon State's got their backs against a wall. They're staring down Oregon next week, so maybe they're looking a little bit ahead. But, you know, Oregon State as a program, and I kind of want to talk about this just a little bit, and there's going to be some other things I mentioned. Let me talk briefly on the Utah thing. I think Chris Level had that little clip that was quoted around on Twitter that everybody was up in arms about on the Utah side, and I think it was totally taken out of context. I mean, what Chris said, if you haven't seen that thing, he talked about, you know, there's a chance that Tech goes into Rice-Eccles Stadium and thumps Utah. You know, why do we have to respect Utah? Nobody has to bow down to them. They haven't won anything in the Big 12, and there's something to be said for that. But his context was also, you know, Utah could do the exact same thing to you, and you haven't proven anything either. But I am amped for that game. You know, we've talked about it since March, like, that battle of that offensive line versus our defensive line could be like the battle in Big 12 when it comes to the positional groups. And I'm excited for that. Oregon State is in a position as a program that it's really, really sad. And not in a way that I look down on Oregon State, but what was done to them in 2023 with all of the realignment stuff is something that can just absolutely never happen here. I mean, it has destroyed that program and that fan base. I was listening to like an hour-long podcast on the Beavers the other day, and the guys that were just talking about it, man, it's depressing hearing them talk about that and like what they're doing and what they're having to do and what the payouts are going to be. And that can just never happen here. And that's a team that's looking to prove that they belong at this level. And so you can see them being really fired up and ready to play in this game. I think they've got a lot more reason to be fired up than you do for this game. And they're a coach that doesn't want to start 0-4. That's a terrible way to start a season, and they're going to be looking to do everything that they can to avoid that. And they got a better chance winning here than they do in Eugene, Oregon. So I think there's a lot of factors in play here, and I think the coaches need to do a great job making sure that our team is locked in, because I think they're going to be very motivated to win. Now, they may not have the horses to do it, but Oregon State, I feel for their program a little bit and what's been done to that fan base, and Washington State to an extent. It's just the relegation to lower tier football is not a fun thing, and it's not necessarily something they deserved based on their product on the field. And so I guess my condolences to the Oregon State Beavers, but also Tech, please beat them badly, because they would love any reason to point to a committee and say, look, we did this. We can play at this level. And so don't give them any ammo in that regard. But at the same time, I do feel a little bit for the Beavers.
Another thing from Tech's perspective that I don't think they would be looking ahead is like, this is the first game that we've had versus like somewhat real competition. I don't think they're playing Arkansas Pine Bluff and then Kent State and then being like, okay, let's get to Utah. Like, they're probably excited to play somewhat, of a more even matchup. And that's another reason I'm not concerned. Also on the level thing, I totally agree about that being taken out of context. I was listening to that, and the way the question was phrased to him was, I feel like, what set him up to answer that way. The guy basically asked him, like, do you think there's a chance that Tech wins this game? And he was like, yeah, of course there's like a chance we could blow them out. But then you're right. He said same thing for Tech. Like, there's a chance Utah could blow us out. Why is one, looked at as like Goliath and one David? I think that was his point. But of course, I don't blame the Utah fans for taking offense to what he said. I would probably be doing the same thing
Totally.
If it was the other way around.
But Utah fans, Utah still has to prove they're not the same team as last year. They could fall off the side of a cliff. Like, I don't think they're the same team as last year. Obviously, they've looked really good, but they need to. We'll be the best team they've played by far when we roll into.
Maybe. We just don't. I think there's something to be said. There are a lot of teams that can probably do what you did to Pine Bluff and what you did to Kent State. Those are truly horrible teams.
Sure, but the way, even if you just look at the speed and the talent and all those things, obviously we'll see more this week of what we look like against a more legitimate opponent. But again, it's not really on paper anymore, but it's kind of on paper because you just haven't played anybody. But these dudes on paper are different. Like, and we've seen they're different. And so it's like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm negative Nancy when it comes to Utah. Like, I'm pro us. So I don't know.
I agree with you. I think it's not, for me, it's not what we've done the first 2 weeks, but like, you knew it, like how good this roster was coming into the year. Whether that gelled or not was the question. And I guess you can't, really evaluate that against those two opponents. But a team with this kind of roster with a fifth-year QB that started for 3 years is always going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, why I'm bullish on the team, not necessarily like what we've proven these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be. I just really don't want, and the thing that I want to make sure that people understand is like on the expectation side, like this is not. I know they're 0-2 with losses to Cal and Fresno State, and that's like objectively not a good start to the season. But we still don't have a great idea of what you are. You have not seen you go up against Power 5 competition. I know they're not Power 5 anymore, but they've got bodies on that roster, and it's not like, they passed for more yards on Fresno State than Kansas did, and we think really highly of the Kansas offense. They shouldn't have lost that game. Their special teams lost it for them, and they're going to be fired up, and I'm not going to be overlooking this team, and I think I won't be shocked if they keep it really competitive, and that they pull out every stop that they have to try to win this game. They would love nothing more than to do that and kind of resurrect their season. So, it'll be interesting. I hope that you send the Beavers home really, really frustrated. But yeah, I still don't know on a lot of things. I will be looking for stuff, assuming that things go well. I'm projecting like a 20-point win, something like that. I want to see your offensive line kind of push people around. I don't think that's something that we saw. We saw that in the Kent State game. I want to see it done against these caliber bodies as the competition increases, because you're about to take a huge step up in a week and a half. Utah has bodies on the defensive line that are legit, that will play in the NFL. If you can't push around Oregon State, I don't know why you would expect to push around Utah.
What is there a certain, left side, right side of the offensive line? Are you concerned about one side or another, or just the unit as a whole in terms of seeing what that looks like in terms of, are we able to push them around?
So if you're a total psycho like me and listen to all the press conferences that Tech puts out, McGuire said something interesting. He was very complimentary of Jados, and then when they asked him about Zambrano, he said, yeah, we're also looking at playing Zambrano at guard. We want to make sure that we push everybody there. And I think that's a direct shot at Jados, and I think that's a direct shot at Carter. They need to be playing better this year, and they're not afraid to move Zambrano in there if they think that he can help them win in some of those areas. Now, I've liked Zambrano at tackle. He's done a good job there. I like Ponton there more, particularly, but I think there's some competition there, and I think Jados has graded out a little bit worse than they would have liked. I think he's still been a good player, but again, it's grading against Pine Bluff and it's grading against Kent State. What are we actually seeing here? So I think I'd really like to see our guards move. And there's another thing. We could have been schematically just really vanilla where you're not pulling a lot of guards. We really didn't do a ton of pin and pulls, a lot of counters. So some of that may change, but I really would like to see our guards play a lot better. I thought Sampson's been fine. I think Ponton's been good. I think Wilson's been fine. It's Carter and Jados that I want to see step up a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think that we should start pulling out some of that stuff this week or keep it in the ball? Because I feel like you kind of need reps at some point.
I feel like people are treating Oregon State like they're Kent State, and they're absolutely not. Like, you were favored against Kent State by 48 points. This is a 22-point spread. Like, this team is significantly better. So I think you absolutely will. You're not going to be able to just roll out your base scheme and walk all over this team. You're going to have some good. You're going to have to drive the ball. You're not going to get to start the ball on the 20-yard line every single time. So I think you'll see some stuff, and maybe you try to hold some stuff back, but I think you're going to see a pretty good, a comprehensive look at what our package is going to look like offensively and defensively, even though wrinkles are added every game.
Yeah, I don't think, you want everything to be, you don't want to walk into a hostile environment in Salt Lake City and not have run those pin and pulls, those counter plays, those different things that you can do. I mean, I feel like you want to be as ready and tuned up as you possibly can go. And, the reality is they know that stuff is coming anyway, like Utah does. Like, that's not going to be a shock to them when that stuff happens. And so putting some of that on film, I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt our chances in Salt Lake City, because at the end of the day, you got to execute, and we need to show that we can execute that under the lights against a better opponent in Oregon State. And so I think it'll be a good test, but I do expect, I would guess that we would do everything we're going to do against Utah, with the exception of, plays you drop that week to attack specific weaknesses in that defense or specific weaknesses in that offensive front.
Yeah, Clayton, I want to kind of transition a little bit. I think success this weekend, we've talked a little bit about that already. I feel like that's kind of been what our conversation has been about so far. What's one thing you're looking for this weekend outside of a win and staying healthy that would kind of make you say, yeah, that was a successful game?
I think getting the run game going, not being in third and longs, and converting short yardage situations and efficiency in the red zone. So those are all things I feel like translate, from each opponent. It's difficult to do even against lesser teams. So I want to see us look good in those areas.
So if we had to define success in the run game, I think we all know what getting the run game looks like. But is it like more explosive runs? Is it like, hey, dude, we're consistently just like 6 yards a pop? Like, they can't stop us. Like, what does it look like for you, success in that?
I think the explosive runs I'm honestly not worried about because of our backs, mainly Williams. I think situationally and just like consistently, like 4 or 5 yards a pop, not getting touched in the backfield, not having to make the guy miss.
Yeah.
Which, like, the run game, I feel like the run game has been better than I'm giving it credit for, considering Adam Hill is like the second leading rusher in the Big 12 right now.
What did we say? The line was like 250 yards from him this season. I think he's going to hit it.
He's going to hit it.
Yeah.
He's already at 205, I think.
But there's also a chance we don't see him like the rest of the year. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's
we'll see him. I promise, Zyler. We'll see him.
Adam, I've enjoyed it. It is funny to me that you've got this roster just full of like these big high profile transfers And then you've got this kid from like tiny little Albany, Texas, that's the second leading rusher in the Big 12. Like really, really fun. One thing I will shout out on the run game, Clayton, that you brought it up, Cam Dickey was much better at pass pro in the Kent State game against a much better team. Nice to see that get sharpened out. And I think McGuire talked a little bit about that, him taking that personally. That was good to see. It's not often that I can like notice distinct improvements in particular like pieces of gameplay like that. But he definitely made it a pointed effort to improve that, and I thought he really showed that in the game. So, yeah, Conrad, same question to you, though. What are some things you're looking for outside of winning, staying healthy, that it would be like, yeah, successful game?
Yeah, I don't want to see you. There were a couple times where you did get stuffed in the backfield against Kent State that I thought I don't want to see that. Now I get it. You may slip. You may some things happen. It's not a perfect sport, but I want to see a clean run game where you're pushing them back down the field. You're averaging certainly over 4.5 yards a carry, in my opinion. I want to see no turnovers again from Barron, and I want to see a 70% completion percentage from Barron, which I believe he's hit each of the first two games. I could be wrong. I know he did the first game. I can't remember if he did against Kent State. I think it was like 18 and 24. So he just under it. I want to see 70% completion from him. I think it's doable. I think especially if this offensive front can keep him upright and keep him out of harm's way, I think that's absolutely an attainable number for him. I think he's missed high on some throws that otherwise he could have really made because the guy was open. So I want to see that from him. And then I want to see 2 interceptions this week. I want to see 2 interceptions from
Barron.
No, never from Barron. I want to see one from our boy
fumbles as well.
A couple fumbles. I want to see a +2 turnover margin. Obviously none from the offense, and then 2 from the defense. I think maybe you get more fumbles than picks, but I would love to see Cole get one, BJ get one, maybe Balfour if he plays, which I'm not sure if he's playing, but that's a conversation for another day. So I want to see Barron 70% completion percentage. I want to see +2 in the turnover ratio, and I think both those things are attainable for me.
Okay, I like that. I think should be a fun game. I want to get into our predictions for the game. Conrad. Actually, no. Before we do that, over-unders. We're going to start it here. Texas Tech will have over 400 yards of offense. Over or under? That's an easy over for me.
Over,
yeah. I think that would be bad if you were under that.
Yeah, I think I would be a little bit concerned. Over under 23.5 on the point spread. That's what it sits at currently. You taking the over or you taking the under?
I'm taking the over in our in the Pick'em League that the 3 of us are in. I actually triple played Tech.
Oof.
So
spoiler, Clayton. I'm taking Oregon State. I think they
really?
score late to cover the spread.
There's the pessimism. There's pessimism.
I'm just saying.
No, I will take the over. I think we're going to play really well and win by a lot. So I'll take the over.
Okay. I guess, Conrad, this will segue nicely. Over under 1 quarter for Will Hammond. Do you see him in the third quarter? Is basically
no, I don't think so. I think you see him in the fourth. I don't think you see him in the third though.
Okay.
So I'll take the under.
Okay.
I'll take the under too. I think Barron gets a couple drives in the fourth.
Yep, I think so too. That's over under. We did a really good job there. I think we all hit on all of those. I think Oregon State, I guess we were all in agreement on those except on the Oregon State spread. Going to some Big 12 games, there's actually a lot of really interesting stuff here this week. Colorado kicks off the Big 12 play at Houston. They're going to start Ryan Staub. I don't know if y'all saw this, but Dion is going to be starting him. He called him Martin Luther Staub. It's hilarious. He's starting a white quarterback at Houston. That's going to be
Julian
really
Lewis not playing? What's the thing? Why is Julian?
Julian and Caden are both healthy. Ryan's just played better than both of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay.
I don't know that it'll be his job all season, but if you watched any of the Delaware game, like all the sickos out there, I watched it. He definitely looked the best. He looked way better than Juju. He looked way better than Salter. So again, it was against Delaware, but Colorado at Houston. Who do you guys got in that game?
I'll take the Texas A&M legend, Connor Wegman.
I want to take Colorado in this game so bad, but this game is on Friday, right?
Yep, Friday night.
Yeah, I'll take Houston just since it's at home night game. Yep. Although I don't know what kind of crowd they're going to have there.
Conrad?
I'm taking the Texas A&M legend, Connor Wegman, and the Houston Cougars.
I swear, dude, if they played at the SEC, you were just like convinced they're a good quarterback.
I mean, I will say the history of A&M quarterbacks, former A&M quarterbacks leaving Texas A&M and being really good elsewhere, that's a pretty strong track record. You know, Kyler,
Maybe
That's pretty true.
Kyler Haynes King, who
Ryan
else am I missing?
Tannehill.
Connor
Ryan, yeah, Connor Whiteman. Yeah, I mean,
Zach
A&M does
Calzada.
have a thing. Yeah, Zach Calzada, superstar. A&M does have a thing for messing up quarterbacks, so you never know. I'll take the Cougars though.
Okay, nice. A non-conference game, Kansas State versus Arizona. This game has flip-flopped a ton. I don't know if you guys watched the betting spreads, but Kansas State opened as a 3.5-point favorite, got all the way up to Arizona -3, and now it's back to Kansas State -1.5. Who do you guys got in this one?
What time is that game?
It's a night game in Arizona. It's Friday night too.
Oh, I'll take Arizona.
I'm
I'll take
taking
Arizona.
Arizona too.
I'm taking
Yeah.
Arizona, dude. I think Daggy is going to murder that offense or that defense.
And
Texas
dude,
Tech
they
legend.
have the better QB too, which is a crazy thing to say. Like,
Okay, dude, I actually think Avery Johnson has been kind of okay this year. Like better than I
Really?
he's been exactly what I thought, which I thought there was a really big chance that he was way worse than I thought he would be. I don't know. He was terrible in that North Dakota game. He was okay against Iowa State, and he was actually pretty good against Army. I don't know. Maybe they get it figured out.
Would you take him over Fafita?
I have not watched enough of Arizona. I think I like Daggy way more than I like Wells. So if I get Daggy
Yeah.
with Fafita, I think I take Fafita. But I would take Avery Johnson and Daggy over like Wells and Fafita.
Fair.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But nothing
Okay.
against our beloved former head coach. Clemson versus Georgia Tech. This game is really actually a close line. I think Georgia Tech is only a 3-point underdog against the Clemson Tigers. I know Conrad loves Cade Klubnik, so I know he'll pick Clemson here. Clayton, what do you got?
I think Georgia Tech wins
Am I wrong,
outright.
Conrad?
No, I was going to go Georgia Tech and Haynes King,
No,
former
you
Texas
were
A&M
not.
quarterback. Yes,
No,
I
you were
was.
not.
I was
You
going
were
to double it
not.
up with the former Texas
You
A&M
were-
quarterbacks.
Absolutely not picking against Cade Klubnik.
No, Brennan's the one who loves Cade Klubnik.
Okay.
He does
Fine.
love.
Conrad's locked in on Georgia Tech. Clayton, who do you got?
Yeah, I'll go with Georgia Tech as well. I've been pretty high on Georgia Tech all offseason. Haynes King has not looked as good as I would hope throwing the ball, but running the ball, he's been pretty solid. And I don't like Clemson's offense right now. It honestly looks pretty bad. So I'll take Georgia Tech.
Georgia versus Tennessee in two teams. Are they good? Do we know? Who knows? But game day is going to be there, so we can all find out. Does Tennessee prove that they're legit SEC contenders? Conrad, what do you think?
No, I'm
You
going
think-
with it. Go Dogs. Go Dogs.
I will be riding with the Volunteers. I don't think Georgia is legit this year. Struggling with Austin Peay does not give me great confidence in your ability to put away good teams.
Hey, they were just looking ahead to Tennessee, man. Give them some cred right there.
That is not a trademark of the Kirby Smart good teams. They usually just annihilate whoever they play. Clayton, what do you got?
Yeah, that's super fair. I've honestly gone back and forth a lot on this one. I'll take Georgia. They've proven it more than Tennessee has in recent years, and I still don't know how good Joey Aguilar is. One conspiracy though that I usually don't, entertain the AP poll conspiracies. I think it's more that they're just morons voting. But Tennessee jumping 7 spots more than anyone else into the top 15 just before this game for beating ETSU. I feel like that's a little fishy.
Completely agree. And I know y'all saw that AP poll voter, that poor girl, Haley Sawyer.
Yeah.
Did anybody see that video?
I did.
I
She
mean,
should have
that was-
never posted a video.
Yeah, it was like, hey, how can I make a situation 10 times worse?
Yeah.
But that's a reminder for all of you that get really worked up about the AP poll. Those are the kind of people that are voting in this thing. And it's why we've always said the voters that vote on that are not that important. The AP poll is important. It helps perception and drives ratings and different things like that. But the people voting on that are not always the smartest when it comes to ranking a comprehensive listing of college football. So Haley Sawyer.
How do you get on that? Like, do you have to be? I mean, like
It depends on if
you get
you're
on that one day. Like, is it
no.
whoever wants to
You
be
typically
part
have
of it can be a part of it. Like, how does that work?
You have to be like a beat reporter typically, so that means you're like associated with a newspaper that covers a certain school. And I forget I think it's the Garnet News Network. I can't remember exactly what it was called. I was reading about it the other day, but like Don Williams over at the Avalanche Journal used to be a part of it, but they're not now with an affiliate, so he lost his AP vote. And so that's really how it works. It's really not that big of a selection criteria. You don't have to be that qualified.
Well, then sounds like it's perfect for us.
Yeah, exactly. That's it does take more qualifications than it takes to be a podcaster, so I'll say that. Okay. USF versus Miami, the most qualified team in the country, the USF Bulls, faced off against the Miami Hurricanes. Who do we got here?
I think Miami is going to demolish them, and that's not to disrespect anything that they've done so far. They definitely have the best resume in the country this far, just as far as wins. But I think last week was more Florida just being inept than it was USF. And I think Miami is a much better team than Florida.
Yep. Best quarterback in the country this year, Carson Beck. He's going to roll. Question: who is Alex Golish, the USF head coach? Who is he coaching for next year? Which roster is he on this time next season?
Dude, it could be Florida, honestly.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Yeah.
The Florida Gators. I think the Kentucky Wildcats might be a contender. I think he's going to have plenty of suitors.
Oklahoma State.
Oof, I don't think he's taking that job. But
Oklahoma. He could have had Oklahoma if not for John Mateer being there.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think him and John Summerall are both going to be coaching in the SEC or Big 12 or ACC sometime next year. So should be interesting to see who gets those guys. But fascinating game. And then final one that we've got here, Notre Dame versus Texas A&M. This game is in South Bend. The Qatari-funded Texas A&M Aggies will be going up to Indiana to hopefully knock off the Fighting Irish. Who do we got here?
I'll take Notre Dame in a close game. I think A&M covers, but Notre Dame coming off a bye, being 0-1, they're definitely going to be more desperate and playing at home. I'll take them to win.
Yeah, Conrad. Notre Dame at home. I think they'll win just because coming off bye, being at home. I think those are two big things that will play a huge part in this game.
Got it. Well,
and I'm not a Marcel Reed believer. Still not.
Got it.
Still not.
Well, the headliner of the week, 2:30 on Fox. You got the Texas Tech Red Raiders facing off with the Oregon State Beavers. Conrad, I'll go to you first. Give us the Kool-Aid flavor. Give us your prediction. What do we got here?
Yeah, so the Kool-Aid flavor of the week is Blowout Beaver Blast. It's slowly creeping up. Sales are getting better and better and better. The interest is peaking. The Utah flavor will be one to behold. I'll tell you that now. Come back next week. We'll reveal that flavor. I think it's going to be 41-14 Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is going to cover. I think we're going to play well. And I think on Saturday night, you are going to feel really, really, really good as a Red Raider fan about this football team, better than you already do. And we're going to be going to Salt Lake City with every reason to believe in this team. So I'm going to take the Red Raiders 41-14. Clayton, are you going with the Beavers to win, or are you going to stick with the Red Raiders?
I'm sticking with the Red Raiders this time. I actually am pretty close to you. I have Tech winning 44-17. I think the offense looks really good. I think you force a couple turnovers and their offense gets going somewhat as the game goes on, but I think you get out to like a 17-0, 17-3 lead and then just kind of coast from there.
Okay. I'll take the Red Raiders, but I'll take them 38-17. I think it's a little bit closer affair. I think we kind of keep them at arm's length, but it's a 2-score game. Maybe it's 10-28 or 10-24 going into half, something where you're still going to have to play a little bit. You pull away late in the fourth quarter and the game's never really in doubt, but it's competitive enough that they give you a little bit of a run. I'll take it 38-17. I'll take us in a 21-point win, so not covering the spread. Guys, we're almost at the end of the episode. Texas Tech trivia is going to round us out here. This is a pretty specific one, and I don't know if you'll know the answer here. There is a pair of brothers that play for Oregon State and for Texas Tech. Both of them are wide receivers. We have a player on our roster, and they have a player on their roster with the exact same last name. Do you know which current Texas Tech receiver has a brother on the Oregon State roster?
I have absolutely no idea. I'll guess just
Micah
a name
Hudson.
out of the hat. I'll guess Bryson Jones as a complete guess.
Okay, very good.
I'll
It is
go.
actually,
I'll go. I can't wait. Can I have a real guess?
yeah,
Kelby Valson.
it is Kelby Valson. Absolutely.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, his
Let's
brother does not have any
go.
stats recorded this year, but he is on the Oregon State roster, so it'll be a homecoming for the Valson family this weekend in Lubbock. So,
What?
Conrad, any parting thoughts before we get out of here?
No, ready to. If you see us, Zyler, Brennan, and myself will be at the game on Saturday. If you see us, come say hello. Want to hear all of your takes, all of your thoughts, and be on the lookout for some exciting news coming soon. You may have some exciting new things in your wardrobe stamped with the Broadway Shuffle on them. So be on the lookout. If you're listening this far, that's well worth your time. So we appreciate you guys listening, and excited for Saturday in Jones AT&T for another Red Raider win.
Clayton, I guess for Clayton, Conrad, and Brennan, who is not here, signing off. This is maybe the worst sign off in the history of the podcast. But we'll see you guys Monday for the reaction. Hopefully it's not is the sky falling for Texas Tech. And hopefully we're recapping a really nice win. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
He makes the catch. He's going all the way. 20, 50.